Hello, and welcome to this demonstration on VMware Data Services Manager. In this presentation, we're going to look at developer self-service, or indeed end-user self-service, and we will see how they can back up and restore their database if something goes catastrophically wrong. To begin, we're going to make a sample end user, and this user will eventually be the owner of the database once our organization administrator Mark has created that database. So you can see the different roles available here. And so now what we're going to do is we're just going to have a look at our environment as well as the namespace and just make sure that everything is online. And it looks like we're good to go with a database creation. So there are a number of databases already created, but we're going to build a brand new one. We're going to put it into the namespace you see there. We're going to make it a PostgreSQL database. We're going to select a version, and we will change the virtual machine name on which this database is hosted to standalone PG. And we just go ahead and create the database. You can see it's entered initialization stage, and we will very quickly speed this creation process along so you don't have to wait around watching these quite boring steps as the database is created. So eventually the database and the VM that backs that database is all set up. We start protecting the database immediately in VMware Data Services Manager, and we already have a full backup of the database taken. And you can see that we have various options, one of which is to change the owner. So at the moment, as I said, I am the org administrator, Mark, and I am going to change the ownership of the database to my end user, Duncan. So now Duncan is the owner of the database. I'm logging out now as the org administrator and logging back in as user Duncan. And the first time I do that, I do have to reset the password from the default. So we log back in once more with my newly created password, and I can now see that I have the database in my view. So everything looks good. The database has been backed up. You can see various details of the database, some of which have been obfuscated. And now as the end user, I'm going to start using my new database. So I'm going to connect to it. I'm just using the pgadmin 4 tool here. It's a pretty nice tool for PostgreSQL. And you can see various information about the database. I can just break it out here. See the databases. Let me just select DB as a service, which is my database. All looks good. Come down to the schemas to look at the tables. There is not an awful lot here at the moment. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new table. So I've created a new one. It's just a very simple table called fruit with a couple of columns, and I've populated that database as well with just a few values. Great, but this is very important to me, and I just want to make sure I don't make any mistakes. So immediately after building that table, I'm going to do a database backup. I'm just going to call this backup on the fly. So you can see I got a full backup, but any future backups that we take now, again speeding things along, will be incremental in nature. But the backup has succeeded. So now going back to my pgadmin 4, I made a mistake. Oh no, I've dropped the table. How can I get it back? Well, very simply through VMware Data Services Manager once more. So you can see the on-the-fly incremental backup. I can go to my database actions as the end user Duncan, and I can recover from backup. Again, we'll speed things along. You can see the recover database taking place. And immediately after recovering the database, we take a full backup once more. So let's see if my table has come back, and it looks like it's certainly there, but let's check the contents of it. And of course, because we have done a restore of the database, we may have to reestablish the connection, which we do automatically, and everything looks good. So thank you for watching. I hope you found this feature of VMware Data Services Manager useful.